Hi, welcome to Clutter Bravado.
Yes, and it's the energy. It's not just about the stuff.
So we should probably just get into it, right?
Let's go.
Good afternoon, Laurent.
Well, there we go again. Another week went by.
Another week has gone by. The summer is just speeding. How do you feel about it?
Every summer is the same. The same for me. It feels like I don't usually take summer vacations.
Yeah.
And I have all those projects, and it's like it's summer, and we're gonna, I'm gonna go to Palm Springs, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and then suddenly it's like September, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That was that.
We're
So,
only at almost August, so you can slow down a little bit.
It's been so far it's been a productive, creative summer. So I'm happy about that one.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are crazy busy. The reason why we're recording this afternoon is because you had so much work going on this morning.
It was today was it's been busy
Quite
and
busy.
picking up and new projects, things with clients that are exciting. Working with our guest
Yeah.
is keeping me also busy. So it's good.
Yeah.
Overall amazing. Overall a good summer.
Yeah. It's a medium summer.
It's a medium summer. It's isn't there a song? It's a cool summer.
Cruel.
Cruel.
Yeah.
It's not cool. My summer is cool.
Your summer's cool?
Their summer was cruel.
It's a cool summer.
Okay.
Okay.
I got it. That's it. What about you?
About my summer or about my weekend?
But your weekend, you're like today. You came in. You feel like.
I'm hydrated. I'm working out. It's kind of cool. So when I was in high school, I got really into weightlifting because I'm terrible at team sports, really bad at team sports. It's not that I don't know how to work as a team. It's that I was never coordinated enough for any of the sports. I was good at volleyball, but I loved weightlifting. It was really fun. So I did that as in high school. And then again, when I was in my 20s, I got really into it. And after training for the half marathon, we've talked about this before, that I started getting into strength training again. And I am just so happy. I'm just so happy. There's something that is just, I just love it. I really, really love it. And also it's wildly transformative for your body.
Right.
It changes the way that you look, the way that you carry yourself, your posture and all that stuff. And I just feel very aligned right now.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
You've turned me on to something. There was a podcast that both of us listened to. You listened to it and then you're like, I need you to listen to this. And it is all of these brand new researched, I guess, pseudo research.
I mean, it's
health tips and supplements and
right.
what people are doing. And, this from the same people who brought you saunas and cold plunges,
right.
But you turned me on to creatine. And I've been taking creatine, 10 grams of it every day. And for the days since I've been doing it, I'm like, oh, I feel awesome. I've gotten a lot of stuff done. My workouts have been incredible. And so 10 out of 10 recommend.
I'm getting you the magic potion of Magic Mind too.
Oh, that's true.
So that's something that we found. We both found out at Art of Elysium that we went.
Yeah.
They were sponsoring it.
Yeah.
And I think I like it. I think I really like it.
You just ordered a case of it, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
Well,
I like that about you. When you like something, you really stand 10 toes down on it. You're really I like this. I'm going to invest.
I like this. We're going to try it. I think it feels good.
So what we're talking about is Magic Mind. This is not sponsored. We would like it to be sponsored. So just letting you know, Magic Mind, if you're listening to this, please sponsor us. This podcast is entirely brought to you by Magic Mind. Not because they know about it, but because we've been using it, been taking it before recording and before working on it. And it is one of the most, I don't even know how to describe it except that I have a lot of clarity of mind and I feel energized, and I feel like I can kind of conquer whatever it is that's directly in front of me. It is like this like little shot of like matcha.
Yeah.
Looks like matcha. It has a very unique flavor to it,
It
that
does.
I love.
I know.
But we've been taking the Max one that's like brand new. And it does in one little shot have like 165 grams of caffeine. So like,
So, yeah.
or milligrams of caffeine, not grams, milligrams of caffeine. But it feels like it doesn't feel like jittery. I don't feel anxious
Right.
or anything. And I've gotten so much done in the past few days. So really, really big fan of that. Again, Magic Mind, hi, sponsor us. We love you. We would love to continue to sing your praises and also to get a bunch of Magic Mind. That would be sick. Anyway.
Anyway, on that topic.
Yeah.
So on that topic, you recommended that I watch a crazy movie.
Yes. Did you watch it?
I did.
Tell me about it. What would you think?
So it's called The Square.
The Square.
I don't remember the name of the producer who won. It won the Cannes
Yeah.
Palme d'Or.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
This
he
was
won
in
it.
2024, though, I think.
He
So
won
it's
it
like
twice. He
yeah.
won it with the Triangle of Sadness, and he
Mm-hmm.
won it with The Square. I'd seen the Triangle of Sadness. It was painful to watch.
You hated it, didn't you?
I hated it, and I hated it the same way as I hated The Square. I mean,
Okay.
they're both fantastic movies.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, but holy shit, did I identify with whatever he's called, the main character?
main
I guess
character,
because it's not a
Christian?
hero. He's not a.
No.
He's just a. It was
You
hard
could call
to
him
watch.
a protagonist.
A protagonist.
Yeah.
It was. There were parts where it was just like nails on a chalkboard. So.
That's funny because the reason I recommended it to you was because when I watched it, I thought of you.
I was like, oh no.
It's really interesting because those films also don't really have a genre,
Right.
except for makes you uncomfortable. And really, they call it a satirical black comedy, which I agree. There are things that you're not really laughing at, but that you're like, oh,
There's
I
nothing
could laugh.
to.
Well,
You could, yeah, if you were
could.
high.
No, I think that you can, if you ease up a little bit. If you don't take things so seriously, and if you allow yourself to laugh at yourself, then yes, I think that it would be.
True.
I mean, I
let me rephrase that. If you're a woman in
Sure.
her 30s,
Yeah.
it's very funny. If you're a man in his 50s, there's nothing funny about the whole damn thing. So, I guess it's a different perspective.
Okay, that's fair.
But nevertheless, it makes you think. Doesn't really give you any, answers or any, but it makes you think, especially in our current situation, time,
a current society.
society. It's very sharp, very sharp, and it's very well done. I mean,
It's a goofy commentary on people wanting to do the right thing.
I know it's not a goofy commentary. It's
It's
sharp.
okay,
It's brutal. I
but
mean,
it's-
some of it is brutal.
Brutal to experience, yes, but at the same time, kind of goofy. For
Yeah, I
example,
guess.
there's a whole through line through the story about a social media video
Right.
and wanting to use social media marketing and how a social media marketing agency makes a decision that ultimately works. However,
It wrecks.
ruins everything.
Ruins everybody. Yeah. So.
But anyway, it's like there are so many like nuanced little moments in that film that I found really fascinating. I really like the way that the filmmaker will sort of create a scene, or it's like one shot that will then be repeated later on in the film. He did that with Triangle of Sadness as well. And that's something that I really appreciate about storytelling and filmmaking, in a way that like you feel uncomfortable, but there's this through line it's a very clear perspective, which I really like too. And sort of in the way that I talked about how when I watched Beau is Afraid, watched once, the only time I'll ever see it, that I could not stand it. And yet I have so much respect for it and I love it. And it made me
Right.
love the director more as an artist. Do you feel the same way about?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's someone that I guess I need to watch all of his movies. We watched Mountainhead,
Mountainhead, yes.
which is a commentary. I mean, not as well done, but a commentary on
Mm-hmm.
the tech bros of which I thought was really well done. you saw a movie last week,
Eddington,
the
yeah.
Eddington, that
Yeah.
I feel like is in that same
Exactly.
genre
Yeah, where
of
it shows you yourself and it
right.
shows it's a mirror back on
So our
society.
little podcast has definitely a theme.
Yeah.
If you follow this podcast, we are into movies where you just don't feel quite
But it's
all
art. It's
comfortable.
like that's the art that
But
we
it's
like
art.
though,
Yep.
you know? The art that we like tends to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Even when we are talking about AI art. Like a lot of like one of the reasons why I was so curious about it is because it makes me
Right.
uncomfortable. I don't like it. I thought that I had like a really strong opinion on it, and then I realized that having that opinion is actually something that makes the art what it is. And I feel like exploring that and talking to other artists and even designers who might like have a perspective on things that we don't necessarily agree with right away or that makes us uncomfortable. I think there's something really special about that.
But can I be serious?
You can be serious.
All right. For once, the movie yesterday. So I've been thinking a lot about what's going on in the world, or at least in the United States right now. And a big part of me being really uncomfortable, other than the fact, the news. There was something else. There was something a little deeper, and part of it was people like my age, European my age. We all wondered what we would have done in, be it France, Germany, or Italy, for the most part, in the 30s and 40s. You wondered. You were like, because there was no way to understand it, you wondered who you would have been. Someone who went to the Resistance, someone who was, trying to survive, or someone who would have collaborated with the German. There was no way to know. That right now is making me uncomfortable because I feel like we're living worldwide, and it's not just here, but worldwide, there's this climate that you're like, oh shit, something's happening. I don't know what it is. And how do I react to it? So the movie yesterday was this guy who he's trying to do the right thing, but obviously can't. And it's a little bit how I feel as a 50 plus
56?
56.
56-year-old man, you can be honest.
56. No, my dating app. I'm 6'1". I'm only 42. But that yesterday that movie made all that come up even more. Where you're like, oh shit, who am I? And in a world that's changing, be it the social media or be it whatever the politics, you're like trying to find your place, and it brought me back to that.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting because
It is. Also, we are experiencing, in the past 5 years, we've gone through a massive revolution of what social media is, the purpose of social media, how we interact with each other. And especially, for people who are more progressive, or even, everybody, your moral compass, our moral compasses have had to change because of the way that the world has presented itself. And it's not that I have let go of like my morals or my values, but I will say that it's so much harder to maintain those when you are literally watching everyone who's doing everything the way that you were taught not to do. Like as a child, I grew up on Fern Gully. Which is the same as Avatar. So if you've seen Avatar, you know the plot of Fern Gully. But growing up on these films that were looking at the earth as a very special place that we needed to protect, that there was some kind of magic within everybody, that there was goodness within everybody. And when there was this horrible villain, the villain lost in the end. And what I'm watching, and I'm not saying that I have this like idealistic version of the world in mind all the time. Obviously, I'm like 37 years old. Like I know that things don't always work out that way, but I thought that sometimes they did. That there were people that were fighting for the good. And in 10 years ago, for example, or a little over 10 years ago, I remember having just like month after month of little wins that felt like my friends were then supported, that people were finally starting to feel more free. And it felt like there was progress. Like we as a society were growing and accepting other people and like loving each other in a new way. And the backlash against that was really surprising to me in the 5 years following that, to which we had 2020. And there was a massive pendulum shift then where it was no longer acceptable for you to be even for you to keep your beliefs and your values personal. It became something that if you're not posting on social media about everybody who's wrong and where you stand, then there's something wrong with you. And then it shifts now into this place where anything that you may have stood for doesn't matter anymore. The worst people in the world have the most power and are making all of your rules for you, and there's nothing you can do. And I know that there will be a pendulum shift again. I don't know what that looks like. And I genuinely fear it. I don't know if that's more or less than I fear where we are right now and where we're heading. But I will say that looking at the art that comes out of this time, like looking in a mirror of where we're at, it helps me to step out of that like social media hellhole that we'll sometimes land in, where it feels like an echo chamber. It feels like everyone's yelling at each other, and genuinely we're not.
Right.
We're really learning how to get along with each other in person, because there was a time where we were not in person at all. And for us, in our adult lives, to have had to spend time away from the people that were in our communities, and some people, I know that I did. I spent almost a year. Like, I know that I had 6 months without hugging a person. 6 months without being in presence with other people. And it really changes the way that we interact with each other. And right now, I feel like there are so many more of us that are able to actually look at the world as it is, and the things that are really happening that are horrific tragedies and injustices. I think you can get anyone together. If you talk to someone, like, do you feel like that's okay? Does that make sense? That anyone who's not on camera, who's not having to perform for social media, or that's going to be judged on a public stage for their opinions, would tell you, yeah, I feel like that's really wrong and something sucks about that. And it makes me feel scared. I feel like we are so much more in agreement than we let ourselves be, because we have to perform for social media.
The only question I have is, it's how many people actually do enjoy the horror of what's happening right now.
Isn't it gross?
And there, and I guess that's the question, is how many people are actually enjoying it. And there's, I mean, I don't know if they're enjoying it, but there's definitely think that that's the right thing to do. So having said that, that's part of why I've been a little uncomfortable, and part of why last night was, when I watched that movie, made it all come up to the surface even more. Look, I don't know what history is going to look like. If we look back and we map out what's happening, it could be ugly.
And we could end up being horrible people. Do you know that?
And we could end up being horrible people. Yeah. And there's no way to know. It's really hard. But also at the same time, I mean, at least that we're asking the question. So it's part of the evolution, and see where it lands. But
Whew. You did get serious there for a second.
No. That movie was, goofy, but was really serious. And that's the art that makes you, sometimes reflect a little bit. So that's what I did, and it doesn't happen that often. I don't reflect at all. I am a what am I? I'm not a boomer, right?
No, you're Gen X.
I'm a Gen X.
Yeah.
Gen X don't reflect. We just plow through shit. We just get shit done. We don't ask ourselves questions. We don't.
No, you guys have been starting to reflect, like, in the past couple of years.
I know.
You started to learn a little bit of accountability and self-reflection.
No, we just...
Not like us millennials who were literally born into therapy.
Right, exactly. We just plow through things. We don't worry. We just get it done. And if we have, any type of questions, we just go drink.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Jack Daniels was not invented for no one. And unfortunately, since I stopped having my best friend Jack... now I have to reflect.
Now you have to reflect.
Shit.
I know, it's wild.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. I think that it's going to be interesting when we look back on this period of history, and we're like, well, but we did it without numbing out at all. We were fully present for the whole thing. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
There are so many people right now that are
for
just
today,
like,
just today.
Hey, just today.
Just today, because you don't know what tomorrow I'm going to be like. That's
depending on what happens tomorrow.
So let's not make too many. As of today,
Yeah.
Jack is no longer my friend, and so I have to reflect. Let's put it this way.
There we go.
See if I.
This intro is wild.
Right. So you might wanna just
Maybe I'll just leave it in.
leave it in, edit,
Yeah.
delete, cancel.
No.
All
You're
right.
not canceled.
So now that we're done being serious, our guest is the most fun.
Yeah.
One of our dear friend, and really fun.
Kourosh Kourosh. I've been pronouncing his name wrong the whole time, by the way.
Me too, but that's not my fault.
He said that it's fine that you do it because you have an accent and I don't have an excuse. So it's fine. But I learned it from you, so it is your fault.
It is my fault.
Thank you. Anyway, Kourosh is incredible. An incredible designer, a young designer, someone who built an entire career from something that they were passionate about as a kid. I loved hearing his story, starting as young. What was he, 7 years old, when he was starting to put together things in his house? And did I ever tell you that when I was 13, I wanted to be an interior designer so bad because I was watching a lot of HGTV?
No.
And I had an outfit that I would wear that was my interior designer outfit. And it was what all the girls on the shows were wearing in the 90s. So it was overalls and a big t-shirt and a bandana on my head. Yeah. Yes. And I started moving my furniture around in my room every single day. But anyway, Kourosh took that same energy and turned it into a career from that moment that now he's incredibly successful, working on several projects, working with you on several projects. And I really enjoyed sitting down with him and getting to know where he came from and what he sees for himself for the future. So should we get to it?
We should get to it. Let's go.
Welcome to Clutter Bravado. We are here with Kourosh Babaeian. Hi.
How are you?
I'm so good. How are you doing?
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah?
I'm thrilled to do this with you guys.
You've watched a couple of our episodes. We've
I
talked about
have,
this. Yes.
yeah.
Well, I'm happy to finally have you on the sofa. So for those who don't know who you are, introduce yourself.
My name's Kourosh Babaeian. I'm the principal of KB Studio here in LA and a longtime friend of Laurent's.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to be here. I feel like this is an exciting show and it's exciting to chat and hear what other people have to say. So
Yeah. So
It was fun. We met probably now seven years.
at least 7 years ago. It was at your Christmas party.
Yeah.
And,
cool.
Yeah.
So it's funny because those Christmas parties, that's kind of where we became friends. We became friends, and it's been a fun journey to be with you on. So
I think I met you for the first time at the holiday party this
this
past
last year.
Yeah. That was really fun. That was a great time.
It is really a great connector of people, and
Yeah.
I feel like Laurent always does a good job of curating a really great guest list.
Yeah, if there's one thing that he's good at, it's the network part of it.
Yeah, well, the two things, the food as well.
Oh, that too.
yeah, thank you. Don't forget.
And furniture, so there's three.
There's three.
So
Yeah.
there's three.
You're
There
a jack
you
of all
go.
trades. Yes, everything that you do. So, I mean, it's great. You're well known for it.
Well, the food, I'll take credit. The guest list is because we have a great community, so I can't take credit about the fact that I'm surrounded by cool people. Furniture, I'll take some credit.
Yeah.
'Cause,
You should take some credit for that, yeah.
We do a good job. We do a good job with that, and Kimberly has designed some fun stuff, and so it's a team sport.
Yeah, team effort. Absolutely. So, wait, you met 7 years ago.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, you are already a young designer, but 7 years ago,
he
were
was
you
a
just
baby.
getting started?
I was not. I actually,
Really?
yeah. I mean, it was obviously earlier than now, and things have developed. But I would say when we met, I was shopping at Jean de Marie, which was a showroom repping Kimberly Denman at the time, and we had purchased some pieces, and so Bradley Blair, who was running the showroom at the time, is
love
also
Bradley.
And shout out to Bradley Blair, who is
We love you,
need
Bradley.
to have him on the show.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
adore
absolutely.
Him. Yeah.
Bradley has been a supporter of mine since day one. He actually came to my college graduation.
Really?
Yeah, so that really puts into perspective how early I started.
Yeah.
But I've known Bradley for many years, and he's always been a really good friend and an ally. And so he said, Laurent has these fabulous dinners. You need to come. I'm going to, invite you to this holiday party. And it was like unlike any party I'd ever gone to.
Yeah.
because, you know, it's one of those things that I feel like you see in the movies where, like, you know, someone's in this really chic apartment and there's like a really interesting crowd of people and amazing food and drinks. And that was in their other unit in the building.
Yeah.
And, you know, we went. I instantly made several great friends at the party. And I got to know Laurent and Kimberly and, you know, the magic behind the beautiful furniture that they produce. And yeah, so after that event, I started getting invited to more and more dinners, and I couldn't say no because I knew how good the food was going to be. And I will say I've met some of my best friends in the design industry through the dinners that are hosted here.
Yeah,
Wow,
we really had. I mean, you're part of that strong community, and I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've grown so much in
Yeah.
your business since then. But he was so young, but doing some cool projects.
So wait, you were in college when you were starting?
I actually started in high school.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, can you please give me this origin story of dying for it?
So I've always been into creative, you know, I always loved design. I always loved art. And when I was like 14, my parents were redoing their house. And so I was, you know, following my mom to the tile shop and to, you know, paint store and kind of helping out with, you know, picking different materials and whatnot. And at the end of the project, she wanted to redo her closet. And it was a small closet. And so she had California Closets or one of these closet companies come out and, you know, they gave some crazy number. And I was like, no, I can make this happen for less. So I actually went to IKEA and I bought one of their closet systems for my mom, assembled it for her, and it looked great. It was actually, you know, a nice looking little closet. And her friend came over, which was the mother of one of my good friends in high school, and said, "Oh, this is amazing. I should do this in my house." So then she asked me if I would help her, and I think I was 16 at the time.
Oh my gosh.
And I just got my driver's license, and I had a buddy, Johan, who was, you know, really handy. So I was like, "Hey, you know, this lady wants us to help with, you know, doing this closet. Can you help me put it together?" So we went down to IKEA together, put together all these different parts and pieces. And as you know, it's, you know, IKEA's.
Yeah, that's not easy.
I mean, that in itself, I think it deserves an award. And we put together this closet for her and it looked great. And she's like, "Oh," and I was, you know, I would, you know, at the time I was watching HGTV and I would watch all these different DIY shows on how to like paint a room and make it look good. So I was like, "Oh, you know, maybe we should paint your bedroom and do this and do that." And it kind of snowballed into me helping this lady with her house.
Wow.
And I was like, this is really cool. As a kid, I always wanted to be an architect. Before that, I wanted to be an archeologist. I love history. And
you just started at the A's and then just went down the
exactly.
career.
Went down the list. So started archaeologist, and I was like, no, that's too far away.
Yeah.
So then architect, and I actually started. I was like, I really like this. I want to build homes. So I started taking architecture classes in high school, and I learned AutoCAD, and I, started taking different courses, and then I realized after 2 years of learning it and then kind of doing these little projects is that, you know, I actually really like design. You know, the part of the home that I enjoy is the actual aesthetic portion. And, you know, while I think architecture and design obviously go hand in hand, I was just lean more towards the design side of it. So I was 17 or 18 and my brother was going to UCLA at the time, go Bruins. And so he had a friend that their mom in Orange County was looking for an interior designer. And my brother's like, "You should hire my brother. He's, you know, just started this little business and he would be great to help your mom." So I was driving from Westlake Village, where I grew up, to Orange County every day.
That deserves an award.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
And I met with this wonderful woman, Rebecca, and I'll always remember her. She was like my first, you know, big client. And she, you know, we redid her whole house. And it was a great experience.
Wow.
And that kind of snowballed. And then one of my high school friends, her mom was redoing her house. And she was like, "Oh, maybe you can help me design some pieces for the house." And then I was like, this is really cool. I want to make a business out of this. And so I think I was 17 or 18. And I went to City Hall and I established a business license. And I just started doing my thing. And I do recognize the importance of an education. So I didn't want to lose on the college experience. So I actually did go to UCLA.
Okay.
And during my undergraduate, I started taking on little projects. And one of the beautiful things of this business is the word of mouth aspect. And when you do a good job, I think it really speaks volumes when people start referring you to their friends and family. So Rebecca referred me to maybe a dozen of her friends and family. And while I was in college, I was building little homes in Beverly Hills and Holmby Hills and kind of all over the West LA. And then when I graduated, I decided to do the UCLA design program, just because I love learning, and I think it's, you know, really interesting to keep kind of learning different things. And so I did the design program at UCLA, which was fabulous. I can't recommend it enough.
Really? Okay.
And I think it's one of the best programs out there. The teachers are amazing. The facilities were great. The classes were so, you know, informative. And I've learned so many things that I still use today. And then I went on and did the master's program for interior architecture, which was also great because then it kind of went back to my original training in architecture. And I went back to using AutoCAD and, you know, learning about architectural details. And so it was a really great program, and I really am happy that I did it. I kind of wish there was like something beyond a master's for interior design, but I think being out there in the real world is definitely
right.
That's
life's biggest classroom.
Exactly.
So by the time I graduated UCLA, I kind of had a little business set up, and I had some clients, and I just continued. I opened an office in Brentwood, and then I hired my first assistant. And then I kind of, you know, snowballed through many, many different people helping me out. And, you know, we built up to the team that we have today. And we're still growing. So it's been kind of this interesting journey. But the fun fact that surprises people is that I've never worked for a design firm. So
you just started off with one.
I just started off with one.
Yeah.
And so I relied on interns or assistants or people coming in to be like, so how did you do it at your last firm? What were you guys using? What software were you using?
Yeah.
And I kind of just learned through trial and error. And I think also coupled with the fact that I've met a lot of great people in the community, again, many of which were at these parties that Laurent would host here at the house. And there's been so many nights where we've been sitting around this table with some of the most amazing names in the design industry. And, you know, I have the opportunity as a young designer to ask, you know, esteemed designers, so how do you run your business? How do you, you know, deal with your clients? How do you do your billing? And so this has also become a classroom for me. So thank you, Laurent and Kimberly, for this, you know, opportunity and meeting people. I mean, you know, we've had many, many conversations sitting around this table where I'm having this issue. And I think having a network of people is really helpful, especially in an industry that doesn't have specific guidelines like the medical profession or, you know, certain banking. It's kind of a very unique, complex business. And so it's nice having people to have as a sounding board.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, and you talked a little bit about word of mouth, and that's how you grew your business. Is that how you still are sort of getting more of your clients?
So to this date, we haven't pushed to get published in any magazine, which is I know, no. We haven't really advertised or, you know, looked for clients. Every client that I have today is a friend or an existing client from, you know, maybe 10 years ago.
That's amazing. And also right now in LA, there's a little bit of a lull. We've like talked to a lot of other designers that are just like, yeah, it's a little bit slow right now. There's some people that are feeling a little tentative or hesitant around the current economic system and some things that are happening there. And meanwhile, your business is booming. You are booked and busy. You've maintained this consistent amount of work and a consistent amount of projects. And so throughout that, do you have any like advice or any insight on like how you've been able to maintain that consistently throughout your entire career?
I think that a lot of it has to do with personality, but I think within my personality, I really care about my projects and my clients. And I think that a lot of times I hear people have, you know, they do a project for someone and it goes really well, and then that person kind of goes to a different designer. So I think building a relationship with the clients has been really instrumental in kind of keeping things moving. And, you know, I really look at a project and treat it as if it's my baby. I really, you know, care about the details that go into the project. I'm meticulous about making sure the client gets accurate billing, that, you know, things are, you know, explained to them or kind of translated to them in a very clear and concise manner. So I think people take note of that and they appreciate that. And we try to make it as easy as possible for the clients. They don't see the crazy chaos that goes on behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And, you know, so I try to make the experience enjoyable for them. And I think that's what kind of creates this bond that produces more business and other projects. And
well, it's interesting because there are different kind of designers that we see, and you're definitely one of those that you take it as a service industry.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it. And so the creativity, every designer has their taste and but some of them are a little bit more professional. Some of them are maybe a little bit more personal and service oriented, like you are. And I can think of a few other designers that we work with that are like that. And that, I think, is a big part of your card, your mojo, or not mojo, your calling card.
Yeah.
Is that you can edit that.
But
Your calling card of being, and it's cool because your clients are responding it, and the way you work with us, for example, it's huge because you make it very clear that that's what you want for your clients.
Yeah, my thing is always service. So
Right.
you hit it on the nail with that. It's, we are in the service industry.
Mm-hmm.
Although we are creative, people forget that you're creating a space for someone, not for your magazine or not for your, own personal agenda.
Yeah.
So I think that, while I do think I have my own style, we are a little unique in the sense that we really kind of mold to what the client wants.
Yeah.
And we do. I want it to feel like a good service that they are happy to enlist, and at the same time they're getting a beautiful product at the end. So it's kind of a win-win. I get to express my creativity, but also help people build their dream home.
You had to learn a ton on your own.
Yeah.
What's your go-to?
I think trial and error has always been.
Yeah.
So, I've done so many homes that I think we've definitely made mistakes in the past and learned from those mistakes. But I do also really like getting the input of people around me. So when we're working on a job site, I like talking to the tile guy and being like, this is what I was thinking, but what's your opinion? And I think it's important to actually communicate with the different tradespeople, because it is a collaboration of so many different people and trades. I think that I learn in the factory, in the workrooms. I learn on the job site, and I learn through speaking to other designers, which I think is really important. I've learned so much through conversations with other designers. And, growing up, we didn't have podcasts. I mean, we may have had podcasts, but they weren't as popular as they are today.
Yeah.
So I think now having these podcasts, especially Clutter Bravado, it helps kind of solidify or answer certain questions that you're not sure about. So I think just keeping an open mind and continuing to get information and continuing to learn is important.
Yeah, your continuing education, like you were saying, you wish that there was something beyond a master's in interior design, and it really is just the projects that you get. So is there a kind of project that you've been wanting that you haven't had the opportunity to do yet?
So I think for a very long time, I was heavily under the dictation of the client.
Yeah.
And so I always, wanted to do a project where the client, and I always love clients' input. I think it's important to know what they're looking for in a space, but, kind of getting a carte blanche, start to finish, which we were talking about earlier, where I really get to, see the project from start to finish and be the sole decision maker, would be great. And I think in the more recent years, we've started getting more and more projects like that, where clients have developed trust with us. And so I do have this kind of fantasy notion of having different, a different kind of project in every design style.
Yeah.
So, I love traditional, I love contemporary, I love mountain, I love, rustic. So there's so many different design styles, and being able to do all those different kinds of projects would kind of, be something that, we are doing it. I mean, it is something that we are working on. We're working on kind of projects all over now. So I think that, just continuing to kind of fill these different design styles is something that I really would like to continue doing.
Yeah, and working within a style like that, like you were talking about how you like the mountain and rustic sometimes too. What do you look at as inspiration then?
I always start with the environment.
Okay.
So, we did a project in Aspen for a client, and when I went up there to first start looking at the property, we did a lot of hikes.
Oh, nice.
And so, which I love. I love being outside. That's next to design. Being outdoors is probably one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
And so I always look to nature. And I think that the home should make sense to its surroundings, and then maybe capture and bring in certain elements. So when we were doing the project, I remember I had gone down there and it was winter. And the first time I went to see the site was in the fall, which was gorgeous. It was beautiful with all the leaves turning, and the river was just, you know, the Rio Grande River was just so majestic and flowing.
Wow, yeah.
And when I went in the winter, it was also equally as beautiful, and everything was covered in snow, and all the trees were, you know, snow capped. And the river was still flowing, but there were ice formations from frozen water. And I remember sitting there with my phone taking pictures of these ice formations. I'm like, this is so cool. And as I was walking around, I started picking up different design elements. I thought, oh, how cool would it be to do something, you know, with the ice? There's a lot of deer in Aspen, and so I would always see deer running around. I was like, how can I incorporate this into the design? You know, lots of trees. So when we were sourcing for things for the project and designing items, I kind of took those inspirations and I injected them subtly into the home. We have a beautiful chandelier that is made of selenite that we kind of it looks like shards of frozen ice.
Frozen ice, yeah.
And you know, we did some fun stuff with antlers. We did some, you know, fun wallpapers and different things to tie in the elements, and it was really important for us not to do a blatant, okay, we're in Aspen, this is a mountain house. You have, you know, we wanted it to still feel sophisticated and classic. So the color palette is very contemporary, very clean and neutral, but there's subtle touches throughout the house that you wouldn't really see unless you're in the space looking around, that kind of nod to the environment that it's in.
Yeah. Is there anything that you've done in the past when you've like sort of been inspired by something and now you look back on it, you're like, oh, if I could go back into that house, I would change that one thing. Like,
there's a lot of things I would change.
Yeah. Can you think of one? And don't out it. So you're.
Yeah.
But just a little, like a vague detail or something like that.
I mean, I had a very flashy client. Who loved the glitz and the glam, and it kind of I did let him dictate a lot of the design, and it is his home. If that's what makes him happy, you know.
Exactly.
But I think there were, you know, he had taken me on many trips, and he would, like, you know, show me a yacht, show me a place in Europe, and he would pick and choose different things from these different spaces. And so, you know, I remember there was a bedroom on the yacht that he loved, and it had this mirrored ceiling.
Oh my gosh.
And so, you know, so he requested that naturally.
Okay.
And, you know, there were all these different things that I'm like, oh, I should have just pushed, because now it's like, you know, I feel like the home is an amazing home and it's beautiful, but I think that allowing the client to make too many decisions is also kind of not a good idea sometimes.
Okay, yeah.
It depends on the client.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, now looking back, I'm like, oh, like he really pushed for this patterned fabric or this super glossy metal. And I know that the matte metal or the solid fabric would have looked better. So I feel like having the confidence to kind of like tell the client, you know, I don't think this is going to work. I think that's definitely one project in particular. But for the most part, I think we've, you know, kept it pretty.
Well, you'll be able to get back in and just like, you know, put a little bit more your imprint on that one at some point.
Yeah.
But you're very big in manifestation. We went on a hike last year, I think, talking about education and where to go next, and so of course it's like, I want to learn more and I want to, you know, and then I don't know, a week later you're like, so my client's taking me to Paris.
That's
I'm like,
amazing.
way to manifest.
The
learning
I do
thing.
believe in manifesting, and it's crazy because I have always, like, I mean, I haven't always fully believed in that, but I do kind of believe in it, and it's just like every time I think of something, it happens. So you know, I wanted to go to Paris, and we went on a hike in the Palisades, and I remember telling him, you know, I want to do more interesting things, and I feel like it'd be really cool to like travel with a client or go somewhere, because Laurent has a history in French antiques, and so you know, I was like, that would be really cool. And literally the next week, my client's like, we're going to Paris. And I was like, okay, great. And I text Laurent, I'm like, where should I take her? What are all the cool stores in Paris?
That was like, way to manifest.
Yeah.
That was like
of course,
the best.
he knew all the best spots.
Oh, the whole, obviously. Like
best manifestation ever on
I think we need to manifest a Paris trip for Clutter Bravado.
That's it.
And have Laurent in his element.
I think we can. I'm also a pretty powerful manifester myself. It's so funny because if there's something that I really, really, really want and I put all of my energy into it, that thing becomes further away. But if I just say, what if I did that? And then I forget about it, it happens.
I do agree with that.
Yeah, that was the same thing with, like, that's how Clutter Bravado was started, actually. I was, you know, I just like lost a job. And so I was like really confused about what I was going to do next, and I sat down and I just had my manifestation journal where I just like write down like ideas and what's something that I would like to do, and what are some steps that I could use to get there? And I was like writing all these other ideas. And then I'm like, what if I started a podcast? Anyway, and then just continued on with everything else.
Here we are.
And it's so funny that like it was that thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing that ended up becoming, you know, the next big chapter of my life and, you know, what I ended up doing. But that's great that you ended up manifesting such a cool trip. Also, Paris I've spent a bunch of time in Paris before, and I'm a big fan of a lot of the showrooms there. And getting to take a good solid full day to like wander through that whole Saint-Germain. How do you pronounce it?
Saint-Germain.
Yeah. That whole area. It's great. Anytime that I go to Paris, I stay in that area too. So it's nice to.
Where did you stay when you went to Paris?
We stayed on George V.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So kind of in like the glitzier part.
part.
But we did. We were there for a week.
Nice.
And we hit up a lot of great. I mean, Laurent helped with a little bit of the itinerary, but we did Saint Germain. We went to a lot of great showrooms there, and it's. I mean, we get a little taste of it in LA and better in New York, but there's no like parallel to the quality and to the beauty of the galleries that are there.
Absolutely,
I mean, there's so many cool pieces.
Yeah.
And, you know, I almost wish I could just go there and source everything. But we also went to the flea market, the Marché.
Oh, wow,
and
yeah.
that also had amazing galleries.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was really fun. And I had gone as, you know, when I was younger and I was first starting out, I went just to kind of check it out. But going as an adult, going with clients and going with the ability to actually purchase things was really cool.
Yeah.
So we found some good pieces for one of our current projects. Which is, you know, it's exciting. And
That's
it gives
spectacular,
a story. You know, it kind of creates
Right.
a little bit more of a story for the home, which I think is important.
Okay, so where are you manifesting travel to next?
Oh, wow. So I've manifested, you mean for work or for personal?
Either.
So I've kind of manifested in the last year or two some dream projects. And so, you know, going back on journaling and writing about it, I don't traditionally do that. But I've had people, friends, clients who have told me you should write it down.
Yeah.
And so in the beginning of last year, I was like, okay, well, I want to go to Sonoma. I want to explore more of California. I want to do all of these great little hubs throughout California. And a few days go by, client calls, we bought a vineyard.
Oh,
And
wow, yeah.
So, you know, which, you know, Laurent helped with some of the pieces for there. And that was a really great opportunity, and we're continuing. There's a few different projects that we're working on up there. And, you know, we had our Aspen manifestation, and I had a client who had a condo in New York, and I was like, oh, I'd love to have a New York project. And so all these kind of things manifested.
Yeah.
And my final place was London. I was like, okay, I want to be like LA, New York, Aspen, London.
Amazing.
And my sister bought a house in London.
Oh, wow.
And so that's
great.
been really fun.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, so she's in Notting Hill.
Oh,
and
that's amazing.
it is the cutest home.
That's perfect.
She got it's a total gut. I mean, it's done now. They're actually moving in next week, which is so crazy
Oh my gosh,
to think
wow.
that you know this year has gone by so quickly.
Yeah.
But fully redid the interiors, added a roof deck, did the backyard, new kitchen. I mean, everything's new. You know, we kept it in kind of that classic English townhouse style with little contemporary pops. But that's for my sister, so it's not like a real project. Don't tell her I said that. You know, and she actually is also very creative. So her and her husband, they did a lot of the legwork themselves, and really they had a great architect and team out there. But you know, I do think like having more of these kind of international or, you know, exciting projects would be someone to manifest.
Yeah.
I think a space like this, you know, a classic historic building with beautiful period details is something we don't really get in LA.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I'm inspired by a lot of my favorite designers are actually in the UK, in Paris. And I feel like in the United States, in particular with LA, because we have such big spaces, it's hard to detail and make them, you know, interesting. So when you get an opportunity to work in New York or work in London, where you have history and just beautiful architecture, I think it just really makes the process so much more exciting.
Yeah, we've been talking to a bunch of designers and architects lately who are also expressing that sort of like disdain for the boxes that we often have in Los Angeles. But there is a lot of really beautiful architecture if you look at some of the more historic buildings.
There's a lot, yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of those historic buildings are then being gutted and then turned into boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
But in a place like this, like in the Talmadge, there is beautiful molding and beautiful detail work in a lot of the architecture. When you are designing a new build, do you sometimes try to bring some of those details
I
in?
do. Yeah, I do. I pride myself on the details.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what we spend a lot of time pulling our hair out and designing is details that most people won't even really notice.
Yeah.
But, I love doing beautiful inlays in floors and beautiful molding and beautiful ceiling details.
Yeah.
I do think when you have these large spaces, you need to warm them up, and I think details are important.
Yeah.
So, and that's where my like kind of architectural side comes back in, where I'm, detailing ceilings, and I'm like, okay, I'd love to have, beautiful coffers in the ceilings, and then lighting them and doing molding, and so I definitely feel like it's something I do like to add to the projects.
Yeah.
And your clients so far, I mean, the ones that we've worked together are very much of a mix of traditional and modern, and Kourosh does a really good job. So it's like the projects that I've seen with you, it's there's a lot of details that and the furnishings or the fabric that you use are contemporary. So it's really chic and elegant.
Yeah, finding that blend between like the traditional and the modern, I think that's something that we're seeing a lot of right now, rather than just sort of sticking with one specific style. Everyone's sort of pulling from a lot of different places to make something truly their own.
Yeah.
And it is something that you seem to do very well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do think that there's importance in longevity and designing a space that's not trendy.
Yeah.
I don't ever think I'm a trendy designer. I may use a trendy fabric, but I think that, a space should be designed in a way that can grow with the family that's living in the space. It is a careful blend. I mean, I love traditional details. I love traditional furniture, but I love contemporary art. I love, fun fabrics and fun wallpapers. So I think blending the two creates a space that's not only timeless, but it feels kind of comfortable and also feels fresh. So I think that it's important to have that balance in any space.
Yeah, sometimes if something is too on theme,
Yeah,
right.
then it sort of feels like you can't get comfortable into there unless you're wearing a costume.
Yeah,
unless
exactly.
you're like, yeah, exactly. So sort of leading into that, and I want to get, I know you're a lot of fun to talk to, because we have had dinners and stuff together, and I want to get some of your opinions on a couple of things.
Okay.
What is a design trend right now that you can't stand?
Oh, wow.
And it might change. This is right now. This is
right
as
now,
of this is like the middle of July in 2025. This could entirely
I don't know
change.
that I can't stand it. I think whenever there's a design trend, I'll embrace it to some extent, but I feel like everything starts looking the same. And, I don't know how to describe the style, but it's kind of this like, I feel like there's a lot of like AI generated images that look very like, I don't know what's the right way to describe it, but it's kind of what all the big stores are doing. It looks like when you look at CB2 and Restoration Hardware and all these different stores that sell to kind of the general public, they all kind of have this boho, beachy, Tulum, which I like. I mean, I think it's, but then they mix in. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that I don't necessarily dislike it. I just think when something looks so obviously on brand with what's currently happening in the design world, it's going to get dated. And so I look at something like, that's really beautiful, but they're going to have to redo that space in 5 years. Because everyone's going to walk in and be like, oh, this was 2025. And so I like the trends. I don't, find anything that's like super terrible. But I don't know. I think that whenever you go too heavy in a direction that's trendy, it's not a good idea.
Yeah. There have been a few like big movements that have happened on Pinterest in the past like 10 years. You can see like how things like evolve. I've been paying attention to interior design and like interiors on Pinterest for a long time. And then I started making AI generated interiors, and you notice that the AI is trained on these like past trends. So a lot of times you get this that like boho sort of like there's too many plants and
Yeah.
a lot of macrame and big mandalas on the walls.
And there's
stuff,
nothing wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that look.
No,
I mean,
like,
if you're at a beach house in Tulum,
exactly,
go for
then
it.
it works for sure. But when you start to see it everywhere, and you can't really escape it, then that's when you're like, okay, I'm kind of tired of this. I want to see something else.
And especially when they start diluting the techniques. So like, I love plaster walls. I think it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
But people, it's a very expensive process, and it's a very labor intensive to do it properly. But then you have people like sponge painting their walls and and it's like, I kind of feel like it takes something like that looks really good and it just makes it feel like, I don't know. It just looks too, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I'm trying to be very respectful
You're
of.
being so PC
I
right
need
now.
to be
And
very
really
PC, but I definitely have my opinions.
Well, I think it's also interesting because in a world where, how am I going to say that in a PC way? Some people who have been successful in business think that because they've been successful in business, they can be successful in everything else. And they know, because their bank account is quite large, they know more than all of us. And you know what? Talking to designers and having been in this business for a few years now, I love the fact that, you take your client's desire, but you also you bring something to the table. You bring a new form, you bring a new shape, you bring a new fabric. I mean, we work, in all this, we work a lot together right now. And, I see your eye. And there's, I'm thinking about Adele just posted a cool post. It's like Adele Gaspi, who was on our podcast.
Love her.
She's
who
amazing.
is amazing, but she just posted something on Instagram, and I love the fact that she brings fabric to the table, colors that she will, and it was really well done. Talking about trends, people follow trends too much, and don't hire a good designers, are just victim of that, and it's a sin. I mean, it's because all that. No, but it is. It's like you have how much I go to a restaurant. I'm like a chef that doesn't provide a good meal in a restaurant, should be put in jail. Because,
Well, it's easy for you to say.
No, but if you're a chef and you have people that have invested in the restaurant, you have waiters, you have clients that are paying, the food should be fucking good.
Yeah.
A designer is the same. I mean, a designer who their client trust, are using, people like me to make furniture. You should do a good project, but the clients in our industry should be able to step away a little bit and not think that they know more than their designers.
Yeah.
So if the few who listen to that and are like, is that me? Yeah, it is you. And please hire, we please hire a good designer and let them express themselves.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, but
no,
that's the trend.
I get what you're saying, because it's very much like when you are not a designer, but you have the ability to renovate your home. You have the tools at your fingertips. You need a designer who's going to have great taste, who can bring great taste to it. You can also have the budget and have great taste and not know how to exactly execute it.
Yeah.
And not at the time, hopefully, that that we spend or you spend, but that's to come back to trends. It's like don't follow trends.
Yeah.
Hire a designer who will listen to you, but will implement something that maybe there's a little bit of the trendy part if you like it, but will put something in it that makes it interesting, that makes it yours. And I think you're a perfect example of someone who does that.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
No, you please.
I would say I think it is important to also going back to looking at the environment, looking at the home, looking at the architecture of the home. That should really dictate the design of the home. And I think that the lifestyle and the desires of the client should be immersed within the design, but I don't think they should dictate the design. If you have a beautiful colonial home, I do think you should have beautiful furniture that reflects that, and then layer in the contemporary art, the fun fabric, the funky wallpaper, the cool rugs. But ripping off beautiful molding and plastering the walls just because that's what's trendy in the current climate is, I think, a big mistake.
Yeah.
And I think that it is. I think that people look at Instagram and they look at what's trending, and they kind of base what's happening on Instagram as what they should do. And while there's plenty of beautiful designs out there, I mean, you get tons of inspiration from being online. There's also a lot of really bad stuff out there.
Yeah.
And I think people like, oh, this is a good idea. Well, they have this vanity, so I'm going to put it in this house. And I think that kind of creates a little bit of a mishmash.
Yeah, it's kind of the same as like makeup. Follow me here. Like someone might wear like an incredible lip color and like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, I want to wear it, but it doesn't work with your face. Yeah. Like, yes, is it a great product itself? Totally, but you have to know how to work with what you have, and it's the same thing when you're decorating a home, where you might look at someone's, like you said, vanity and be like, oh, that looks incredible in that room. It'll look the same in mine. No, it won't. You need something that's going to suit your space, that's going to be at the right scale, and that's going to be at the right style, and that's made with the same kind of quality, obviously, but that, fits you and the way that you live in your home. Yeah.
So actually, you remind me, a client of mine told me, she caught me. She was like, and called me out. She was like, I know when you don't like something. I said, why? She said, because you have a very delicate way of telling me that you don't like it without telling me. And I was like, okay, what do you mean? She's like, anytime I show you something that I know you don't like, you always look at it and say, oh yeah, this is really nice, but it just doesn't work with this home. Maybe for a different home. And I was like, huh. And so I started paying attention. And anytime a client shows me something that I hate, you don't want to hurt their feelings, because, everyone wants to feel like they have a creative eye. Yeah. And so I need to figure out new tactics, because now it's all out there. But she was like, yeah. So I was like, it's amazing. I love the sofa. I just don't think it works with this house, and it's just not the right feel. Yeah. So you got to be delicate with how you put it.
Yeah, but it's also, that's true though.
It is true.
Like it might be a great sofa, but there are certain sofas that would not work in this room.
Yeah. Right. Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think that there's the knowledge, the time you spend on, work. I mean, it's our job. It's like we don't do it, and there's a certain knowledge of what's available, what's best. I don't know. There's something best for a room. Yeah. And no matter what you bring, there might be something slightly better. And I guess that would be your next thing. That would be like, maybe we can find something slightly better. Yeah. This is great, but let's see if we can find something slightly better.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with your clients, you're also taking them to showrooms, right?
I like to take them to showrooms. Yeah. I mean, a lot of clients like to let us do our thing, and, they're not picking out the fabrics and doing all that. But I think it's good for them to see the furniture, to get an idea of, what's out there. I mean, going to Paris is amazing. Yeah, yeah. But, to me, coming here to Laurent's space is a great way to show people beautiful furniture that's put together in a very artful way. Yeah. So I do like taking clients to showrooms, but I think there's also a trend in these kind of livable showrooms. Yeah. And I've noticed not a lot, but a few people have started doing that. And it just makes it so much more special. And, we're not selling a $20 chair. I mean, we're selling a very beautiful handcrafted piece, work of art.
Yeah, it's a work of art.
And, you buy it. A lot of times clients buy it sight unseen. It's a large number and it's not returnable. So, it is kind of nice to bring them in and show them the quality. And it does also open up their eyes. I mean, I've brought several clients into the showroom space and they're like, oh, I love those pedestals, or I like, the way that there was a table here at one point that inspired a table we designed. It was kind of rotated. And so, I think it is important to also educate your clients and bring them along. But there's a certain line, you don't want them being involved in every decision, because then you just,
you get overwhelmed.
Yeah. And you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen. I think, exactly. It's good to get some input, bring them to a beautiful space, and get their feedback, and then just kind of take it from there.
Yeah. I had to have a conversation with a client where I was like, can you please stop shopping? Yeah. Just don't go without me. Just stop shopping.
Yeah. That is definitely one of my pet peeves is, I have clients that they're like, oh, I was looking online and look at these 6 great rugs, or look at these. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to, you're making it uncomfortable for me, because I don't want to tell you that it's ugly. And at a certain point, it won't work in this home. Yeah. It only goes so far. So, it is definitely, I like when clients get involved. Yeah. But sometimes I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad you have me, because.
Right. But I think your clients, all the ones I know, respect that. Yeah. From you. So that's why you're there. I mean, that's why we are all in this industry, is to help out.
Yeah.
people that should be spending more time making money.
When you get lucky, you get clients with good taste. And I've had a couple great clients with great taste.
Nice. Yeah.
And it makes my process a lot easier because when I'm showing them an amazing fabric, they're like, yes, 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 we love this. And you don't have to sell it. And sometimes they do come up with great concepts. And I mean, I have our biggest project we just finished in Bel Air. The husband came to us with several design ideas, and most of them were like, I don't know. But the ones that we actually took were game changers for the space.
Wow, yeah.
And so I think it's important for everyone to have a voice, but maybe a limited voice, and and you curate what you take what they're saying and you kind of curate it and make it. Package it all up for them.
Yeah. Well, I want to move into our final 3 questions
Okay.
that I ask for all of our guests.
Okay.
I'm sure you're familiar with them. But the first question is, what is the messiest place in your home?
Okay, so I was thinking about this one. I shamefully but pridefully have really bad OCD. So my home is very organized.
Okay.
People always come in and I think it's a mess, and they're like, this is like the most organized, clean home I've ever seen. So I dedicate spaces for messiness, and I have a couple drawers. So I have, and I did think about this. Closet is organized. Everything is organized.
Oh, wow.
But I have a junk drawer in the kitchen that tends to get very unorganized. And in my nightstand drawer, I always come home, I'll throw my watch in there, random things. So those are definitely, and I have a catch-all tray.
Okay.
So those are my 3 messy places.
Okay.
But you better believe that my refrigerator, all the labels are facing forward.
Oh my
everything
gosh.
Everything
Wow.
matches.
Yeah.
We got some new office chairs, and I made it because one of the old ones was still fine, but they didn't match the other ones. And I made a joke. I was like, oh, well, you can keep the old chair. And as I walked out, they were looking at each other, and I was like, come on, guys. Do you think in any world I would ever have one mismatched chair?
Oh my gosh, I love it.
So no, it all needs to
Yeah.
match. It all needs to be, and I think when you have a very clean, organized, the creative messiness, the messiest part is in here.
Yeah.
Right.
Second question for you. When you walk into a new space, what is the first thing that you notice?
I usually look at the space itself, and I think that naturally my eye goes to the windows and the light sources.
Okay, yeah.
So I kind of when I walk in this space, I look at the windows, and I kind of see, okay, where are we? Where's the light coming from? And then I start looking at all of the objects in the space. I have kind of a photographic memory, so I'll remember where your light switches are, where your air conditioning vents are.
That's so handy. Gosh,
it does come in handy because
yeah.
sometimes I'll be like, no, there was 4 plugs on that wall, and so I start kind of macro, and then as I'm sitting in a space, the more I sit in the space, I start realizing details on the furniture, fabric, and it's kind of fun to go into a space and start seeing fabrics that you've seen at a showroom or that you maybe used on a past project. So I do start kind of honing in on those little details and paying attention to the lighting. I think there's so many elements in a room that it's great to kind of see how it all pulls together.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah.
Okay. Last question.
Yes.
What is your favorite space that you've designed or in your own home? Or,
Okay.
well, I mean, I'm sure you designed your own home.
Yeah,
so
I did.
Either way.
That was also a very hard question because I feel like there's so many favorite spaces.
Yeah.
Right now, currently, we just finished this huge project, and I think my favorite space in the project, and there's a lot, there's so much in this home, is his and her closets.
Yeah.
They came to us with basically do whatever you want, but we want them to look like boutiques.
Oh my god.
And,
wow.
Yeah. So
I love that.
we kind of they let us go to town. And we have amazing, beautiful textures in the closets. Her closet's more bright and airy, and I kind of she loves clothes. She likes bags. She likes shoes. So I kind of took inspiration from boutiques. I would go into Chanel and I would go into different clothing stores and see how they kind of displayed things and put things together and how they layered materials. I think that one of my favorite places to get inspiration for projects, just to look, I know they're a little over the top, but it's showrooms. And, and what I mean is by fashion showrooms. So when you go to a Christian Dior boutique and you look at the amazing textures that they use and the different uses of metal and glass and leather and raffia and all these different textures to create this beautiful space. So I did take a little bit of inspiration from some of these stores, and so her closet is very feminine, very bright, and it has we have beautiful wallpaper that kind of looks like a Chanel tweed suit.
Oh, cool!
On the walls.
Yeah.
And then we did beautiful Degorny embroidered panels on the doors, and just a combination of so many layers. On the contrast, his side is much more masculine. We went more of an English I don't want to say like cigar bar, but kind of like
Yeah.
a, you know, like a gentleman's room.
Yeah.
And we built a beautiful dressing room for him, and the walls are all like a tweed wool and lots
wow.
of dark colors, and you know, and the back of his shelves are lined with like a dark blue leather, so it just gives it like that kind of texture.
That's awesome.
Is that the swivel chair that we made that was for that project? That little on casters?
The one that we just
Yeah.
put in, that's for the bathroom.
That's for the bathroom.
Yeah, it's a big
cool.
home, so there's a lot of different
Yeah,
bathrooms. I mean, a lot of spaces are gorgeous.
I love the fabric you use.
Yeah.
Fabric you
I
use
can't
on
wait to
that.
see that when it's
Yeah.
done. Like you have to photograph it.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I need to see it. That sounds incredible.
It's a beautiful project, but you know, it's always changing. So you know, I feel like then when there's a new home, I'll probably have a different space. But as of now, I think those two are like perfect complements to the husband and wife who share the home. So
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's been so cool to chat with
Yeah.
you. Yeah, and
On the podcast.
Yeah, actually on the podcast because you're here all the
Well,
time.
we haven't
and love
we
hanging
haven't
out,
seen
but-
each other in a little bit.
Yeah.
We've been traveling and really busy.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's nice to catch up. We're
Yeah.
gonna be able to catch up also over a
Over
nice
lunch.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
So
Best
what's next for you? What are you excited about?
I'm just excited for, you know, the new year. I think that we've had a really hard year, especially in Los Angeles, and I think the whole world. But, you know, we had the fires and we had, you know, other things that affected a lot of people. And I think whenever there's something really bad that happens, there's, you know, a chance for beautiful things to also happen.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, optimistic and excited for the future of Los Angeles. I think that people may feel like there's a lull and the economy may be a little uncertain, but it's always these uncertain times that create moments of beauty. And I think, you know, from the Great Depression, you know, to the World Wars, you always find that in history, after a really turbulent time, there was a really beautiful renaissance of design and culture. So I'm really hopeful that Los Angeles is a new golden era. And while we have a lot of things to figure out, you know, I think it's important for everyone to, you know, just stay positive and support one another and really look to the beauty in life that's there and that will continue to grow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you
being
guys.
here. And yeah, we should probably get to lunch.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Thanks very
Yeah,
much.
of course. Thank you guys both.
Thank you.
Yeah.